Hi everyone, I'm Estelle from How to Scrap. I don't know if you know me, but I'm a French girl who is crafting since many years. My English is not so good and I hope you will excuse me for this. It is my first time for making a voiceover for a video. Today I will create an A7 fold 3 pop-up card for Scrappytailscrafts. I used the Scarecrow dies, which is from the last year collection, then the pumpkin kitties, which is from this year collection, and the A7 fold 3 pop-up card, which is also from this year collection. I decided to work with the Neehna Desert Storm cardstock. It is my first time copy coloring on the Neehna Desert Storm cardstock, and I enjoyed it. First, I began with the pumpkins. I use YR31, YR23 and YR15. I colored in a flaking motion which allows me to add more dimension to my pumpkin. I began with the darkest color, then the medium and the lightest color. At the same time, I colored the headband, then the hands with E50 and E53, and the skirt patches in orange, neutral and green. I will list the colors in the description box below. I love coloring on craft cardstock. The colors are muted. It brings me the style I like. You know what? It is so difficult for me to speak in English. I never do that, but I will continue just for you. The fringe was colored in green with G94, G63 and G99. Now it's time for the skirt. We had to dress this poor scarecrow. I used the neutral colors, which are E50, E53 and E55. The scarecrow is from the last year collection. A dye I used several times, many times. As you can see, I didn't take a spooky pumpkin for my scarecrow because I wanted to make a fall card, not a Halloween one. As you can see, I began with the darkest color all around the skirt, then the medium one, letting a little space at the middle for the highlight. I'm not a master in copy coloring, but I try and try again to improve myself. I do the best I can, spending great time in my craft room, and I often like the result. I do me, and that is important. I hope you will like the result too, and that my video will inspire you and help you to reproduce my card if you like it. Once the coloring was done, I inked all my pieces with Walnut stain distress ink. I always ink my makes. It brings a distressed look that is really my jam. It is a little tricky to ink the little pieces, but it brings the depth I like. And when you fussy cut images, it hides the imperfection. I always ink with Walnut stain, but you can also ink with Vintage Photo, Scotch Timber or Ground Espresso. Sometimes I ink my pieces with Black Soot, depends on the color I use for my make. Now it's time to glue all the pieces together. It will bring the scarecrow to life. As you can see, there are some lines on the skirt. I bring them out with a fine brown pen. My pen is a distress one, but the distress pens are discontinued. I'm sure you will find another brown pen in your stash, won't you? When the scarecrow is done, it is time for the sunflowers. Unfortunately, I didn't put on my camera when I was coloring the sunflowers. With my COPICS, I colored from the center to the outside of the flower. Y18, the darkest yellow at the center, Y08, the medium one, and finally Y15, the lightest. With the foam applicator, I ink all the pieces with Walnut chain distress ink. It is the easiest way to ink the edges. With my very hard precision glue, I glued all the pieces together, and my sunflowers are done. Always with my COPICS, I colored the leaves in green, orange and red, to glue them later on the tree branches. The leaves are so tiny that I used only two markers, the darkest and the lightest. YR31 and YR15 for the orange, G94, G99 for the green, R46, R59 for the red. To add more depth to the fence, I inked all the edges with Walnut chain distress ink. I die cut two pieces of the structure because at the time I didn't know I will make a background. Otherwise, I wouldn't have doubled it. You can do as you want. I die cut two for more sturdiness, so I glued them one over the other. To add some shine, I spread the crooked broomstick mica stain from Ranger. To protect my work surface, I put the frame in my very clean splatter box, a very old packaging box with paper towel at the bottom. Take a look. Can you see the shine? It's time to build the card with all the components. First, the scarecrow. I had to find the right position and glue it. Some parts behind the branches and some parts like the hands in front of the branches. I struggled a little before finding the right position. Now the fence. I put some glue on the inside of the little tabs and glue them one after the other behind the trees. I use my reverse tweezers to hold them in place. Reverse tweezers are so handy. I couldn't craft without. Now the fence is ready to be embellished with all the components I die cut and colored. On the front I glue the row of pumpkins. I love it. I love how it turns out with the coloring on the Neehna Storm cardstock. And as I inked it, it has so much depth. On the background, I glue the sunflowers. I had to find the right position. I glue two on the left and one on the right, with different height. I chose three because I like to have elements in odd number. Now on the branches, I glue the leaves. I colored in three different colors, green, red, and orange. I glue them randomly. First, I inked these little pieces. It was tricky but essential to me. Who knows why? Thought I needed more elements for my cards, and I wanted to incorporate little kitties from the Pumpkin Kitties die set. I die cut some more sunflowers in case I will need it some more. At this step I wanted a background. The card was too empty. I don't know if I can say that, but in French we can. So I take my card, trace the contour on a white paper and cut it with a cutter. With a cloud stencil and a rusty inch and spice marmalade distress ink, I make the cloudy background. I use blending brushes for a softer result, beginning with the lightest orange, spiced marmalade, and finishing with the darkest rusty ink. Take a look at this amazing fall cloudy sky. Oh, I love it. Fall is my favorite season. I love the colors of the forest, orange, brown, green, and yellow. Then with walnut stain I ink the edges of my background. Then I have to check where my sky ends and where the grass begins. When it's done, I take a low tack tape to hide the bottom and finish my sky. Then changing the place of the tape, I will make the grass. For this, I take distress ink, peel pen and a foam applicator. I choose a foam applicator for a heaviest hand, putting more color at the bottom and less going to the sky. Take a look at this. Isn't it so good and so easy to make? To bring more shine, I spread the amazing flickering candle mica stain from Ranger. A little spritz. To have droplet, you must push very slowly on the sprayer. Can you see the shine on the camera? Now it's time to glue the background. I put glue all around and I place it behind the frame. Wow, now it's good. Love it. The card needs something else, a bridge, to add more elements in the middle of the 3D card. I will add the grass bridge. I take my green COPICS and color it in a flicking motion. As always, the darkest to the lightest. I really love coloring on Neehna Desert Storm cardstock. More I do it, more I love it. I'm satisfied with the colors I choose. To choose them, I tried on a scrap paper with all the colors to see which ones I wanted and make them match together. I will keep my swatch for a future make. Time is never lost. I'm not satisfied with the result. I blended too much the colors together. No problem. I take my darkest green to add more details, more contrast. That's better. And finally, as always, I ink the grass with my Distress Walnut Stain ink. When it's done, I glue it on the pop-up card. I put some double-sided adhesive tape on the two flaps, some glue to secure it. I place it not just in the middle, but a little further. You can see how the card is flat when I fold the fence to the left. You can also fold it to the right. This mechanism allowed the card to fit in an A7 envelope. To hide the flap of the bridge, I glue pumpkins on both sides. Let's put some of my barely hard glue and place them where I like. I cut the pieces of the flap that are protruding from the pumpkins. Protruding. Never heard about this word. Reverso, a translate application, told me that. Is that correct? Can I use another word? Let me know in a comment. I need something else in the middle, on the bridge. Why not another sunflower? I know I will not have a odd number anymore, but I need this sunflower. Let's glue it on the right in front of the bridge. Now the kitties. I will start with the little one lying on the pumpkin. Cut in Neehna Desert Storm cardstock, I will color him with E50, E53 and E55, which are the lightest to the darkest. I apply E50 on all the surface, and then I trace the edges with E55, then blend with E53, letting a small area to apply E50. All the colors are too blended, so with my darkest Copic I add some details and contrast. I add stripes because I love cats with stripes. When it's done, let's add some R20 in the inside of the ears and add the white eyes. Then I color all the cat's noses in a rose shade with R20 and glue his nose on his face. let's keep the others for later. How cute he is! Now some W9 for the whiskers and another touch of rose on his nose. Now it's time for inking the edges with Walnut Stain Distress ink. Now you know me, I never forget it. Now the big cat. I will color him in the same way. Add his white eyes and rosy nose. I just change the colors. I use brown, E44, E47 and E59, which are the lightest to the darkest, and I don't add stripes. During the coloring, let's talk about my first voiceover experience. My card is almost finished, and my video too. It was a real exercise speaking in English. As you had seen, my English is not so good and not fluid at all. But I wanted to do it because I know you prefer to watch videos with a voiceover and not with music. As my English is so bad, tell me if you'd prefer music instead my bad English. I could make my videos in French, but I craft essentially with US products for US fellows, and Scrappytails is my favorite brand. Now it's time for the third kitty. I color him in brown, like the big one. This time no white eyes, they are too small. They are debossed, so I put some black to mark them and add white gel pen to add light and make them no creepy. Pink for the ears and a rosy nose. My three cats are almost done, but the white of the eyes is too white for me. So I apply some leftover walnut stain ink of a small blending brush. So they will not be dark brown, but lightly inked as if I had inked the edges before gluing them. But as they are very small, it would have been too difficult. Now the finishing touch. I glue all the kitties to their place. The lying one on the pumpkins, the big one on the bridge, and the small one on the right side of the fence. The background is also too light for me. So, with the leftover of my small blending brush, I ink all the background. Inking the background put all the elements together. They are all in the same shade, a brown shade, my preferred. As you can see on the photos, I had a sunflower on the back of my cards, a place to write your message to the recipient. Let's see some closer photos. I hope you enjoyed the time spent with me. Please don't forget to make a thumb up and to let a comment to tell what you think of this chaotic video or to ask questions. Thanks for stopping by and see you next time.